So, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Ivyleague Associates. In particularly, welcome to our OBU Open Day, our Oxford Brookes University Project Mentoring Information Sharing Open Day session. It's always a privilege to get a chance to speak about the Oxford Brookes University offering to everyone around our ecosystem. So we just want to welcome you all. And sometimes it's easy to forget, but I believe for some of you, this might be your first interaction with us, particularly for the year. So it's also a fine place to say Happy New Year, everyone, and all the best with the good things we hope for ourselves individually for 2022. So my name is Jonathan, and I am the director of learning in the school. And I would speak to quite a lot of our offerings at a high level, but just a bit about who we are. So at Ivy League, we are driven by a set of values, and we express them by our purpose and our ambition. Our purpose is to promote economic empowerment and societal growth through professional education. And the bigger picture for us is our contribution to societal development is through the various professional education programs and learning programs that we offer at the school. Our ambition is to be Africa's undisputed leader in any field of professional education that we choose to play in. And we would like to leverage this through an innovative and impactful learning ecosystem. And I'll speak to some of them very soon. So that's really how we look at ourselves in terms of what we are set out to do and what our larger ambition is. So a bit of context as to the journey where we've been, and also somewhat to carry us along into the direction where we see ourselves going to. So we started commercially in 2013, and I use the word commercially in 2013. That's because we've been in operation even in 2012. But commercially, we became open on a student school relationship from 2013. And some data that might be useful to highlight here is we've trained over 7,000 students since then. In fact, the numbers might be up if we take into account the latest results that came out. So there's quite a lot of numbers we've trained. We also pride ourselves as being the leader in ACCA tuition, not just in West Africa, but across sub-Saharan Africa. And this is validated by the data we get constantly from ACCA around, student number, student headcount, student registration, vis-a-vis. We also the employer's choice, and our reference to employer is really ACCA's approved employer. And that's reflected in the dynamics around the composition of the students you find in our class. So it's very common for you to find quite a lot of students, in our classes who work for ACCA's approved employers. And beyond that, even employers, multinationals and even the big telcos you would find, and even the finance institutions, not just in Nigeria, but across Africa as well. We are so proud about our faculty. We like to say the combined experience of our faculty is in excess of 300 years. And I always make an emphasis to say that is teaching experience. So if you somewhat complemented that with professional work experience, then we could be speaking in something close to 2,000 years of experience. But that's just to tell you how much has been devoted into the skill and the art of teaching and the experience over time teaching ACCA papers. And then we're driven by our purpose. I highlighted what our purpose is: societal development through professional education. And something that is common across all the data I've shared not too long is the focus really is on the student success and student support. And that's really one thing that binds us together as a school across all stakeholders you find in the school, whether it's the students, whether it's the faculty, whether it's even the regulatory bodies from ACCA. There's one unifying factor, which is we are clearly focused on supporting our students and just ensuring that they become successful in any program that they sign up with us. So if I share a bit about our roadmap in terms of the success stories we've recorded. So in 2015, and this was just 2 years after we launched commercially, we attained the gold status, which is quite very significant, as a learning approved partner with ACCA. And then something remarkable happened again in 2 years' time. We attained platinum rating. And just a bit of context, this is the highest rating that any learning partner can attain. And so when you think about the very best you would find across the world, in terms of providing ACCA learning institution, we are happy and proud to say that we stand shoulder to shoulder, toe to toe, with those institutions. And these ratings are not basically, they're not fixed. They're always subjected to a lot of KPIs, and constantly validated. So sometimes the ratings can go up and down, but I'm proud to say to you that since 2017, we've met all the conditions for being a platinum learning partner, and that is quite very significant. So that's something that we're very proud about, and that's reflected in the dynamics of what we see. So it's very common now to say a lot of students from outside of the country, given that a lot of our offerings are now virtually provided for. So it's very common to now find people across the world, people trying to take advantage of the impact of currency exchange rate vis-a-vis value for money. So we find a lot of students, from different geographical locations, join us in class. I wanted to also highlight something, that happened to us in 2018, and that was significant, and that set the trend which we've always been aligned with as a school. We exceeded the pass rate across every ACCA paper in 2018, and this was December 2018, and that really was, somewhat highlights, why this should be your preferred learning institution. We've also diversified into quite a lot of other offerings. So, for example, in 2020, we commenced another professional finance qualification, the CFA, the Chartered Finance Analyst program. And we also commenced our online offering. So now you could access any class, any product, any of our product offering, virtually. So that affords you that flexibility. If you decide to make career moves that might take you out of the country, that also assures that, you can also still not miss out on our value proposition. So what's been the background to the success stories we've shared? Our teaching methodology, we've validated this, and it's something that all stakeholders are happy with, especially our students. So we do a lot of work in assessing and planning, and our head of OBU is going to speak to some of the plans, for everyone who signs up to the program. And then there's a lot around engagement, and then we review. So basically, we plan, we engage, and we review. So that is consistent in any products or any of our learning offering. There's a lot of planning that goes into it. We share the plan. We do a lot of engagement with you offline, with using different media, and more importantly, we review the work, finally before it gets sent. So, but the head of learning is going to speak to that. Quite a lot of other support tools we have, that supports learning in the school is, so we make our lecture plans very communicated to everyone from day one. We belong to WhatsApp group that ensures that even conversations outside of lecture times can still happen. There's a lot of feedback we do, trying to ensure that we are constantly, exceeding our students' expectation. We run our programs through a virtual learning environment that allows for us to be able to ensure that learning, is beyond, dedicated or fixed times. So we run a lot of progress tests, assessing students' performance, detailed revision, and a lot around using the computer-based platform for practicing questions. So finally, I wanted to end with our commitment to you if you decide to sign up to any of our program, including the program we are showcasing today, is that we'll be disciplined, and discipline is a reference to we're going to take what we do very serious with you, and we'll handle that professionally. We'll be impactful in any conversation you have with us. The bigger picture is to make sure that we help you become better. We'll keep to time. We'll provide you with support and the right infrastructure to just make sure you get the best out of what we offer and provide in the school. So this might be highlighted again, but I just wanted to say, beyond the program that we are speaking on today, if you wanted to reach us at Ivyleague for anything, please, you might want to take a a screenshot of the pictures we have here, and you can contact us directly, and we assure you you'll be attended to. Now, aside from that, if you wanted to also follow us on social media, please feel free. There's quite a lot of information we share on our social media platforms. So you could follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, and on Instagram. And our website is also there. So it's been a pleasure. I welcome you all. I can assure you that you're in fantastic hands, and we just can't wait for you to sign up and be a member of the family. So that'll be it for me. Tutu, over to you. Thank you so much.
All right, Jonathan, thank you so much for that good and wonderful introduction. So I'll be handing over to my colleague Omolola now to take us through the faculty profile. So over to you, Omolola.
Thank you very much, Tutu. Good morning, everyone. It's nice to be with you this Saturday morning. Jonathan has done a fantastic job laying the foundation when it comes to Ivyleague. Now we'll be talking about the OBU faculty profile, so that you can, just to give you a sneak peek into the kind of mentors that will be assigned to you if you sign up for this program. Tutu, if you could please move the slide. Thank you. Just to provide an overview, we have a rich faculty, very seasoned, experienced professionals in their own field. We ensure that we have an OBU induction day, which is what we're having right now. When you get assigned to a mentor, for every session, for every chapter you put together, there's a feedback session between you and your mentor, such that you are guided. And if there's anything you need to change, you can quickly amend that. It won't be when you are done writing the entire project, that's when you discover that there's something you didn't do right. We have a presentation day where you then have that opportunity to also interact with other mentors, as well as students like yourself, your fellow students. And what this does is that it gives you that opportunity to hear other people's views and other people's perspective. And given that other mentors will also contribute, ask you questions. Even your fellow students would ask you questions. You'll also be a part of their own presentation, where you can then all see things from different views, and that would kind of enriching your project. We have dedicated mentors, it goes without saying. That's why we are spending this Saturday morning with you all. There is also an independent review. So when you're done, the project then gets assigned to another mentor, just for that, what we call the 4I principle, such that if anything has been missed along the line, that second person will then pick it and give you feedback. So through this, you see that there's active engagement. You are always in contact with your mentor, with the faculty generally. Next slide, please, Tutu. Yes. Okay, so just to give you a sense of a run through of some of our mentors, we have Adetutu Oludare, who is the, you had her speak not too long ago. She is the faculty head. I have my colleague Ola Diveji Olajiton, myself, Omolola Fashisen, Jonathan, who did the first presentation, and Akib, Habib, sorry, and then Muhyiddin. Tutu, do you want to also, there should be some further in terms of the, yes. Very rich profile. Tutu is a seasoned finance expert. She's a fellow of the Chartered Association of Chartered Certified Accountants. She also has an MSc. She has she doubles as a lecturer as well in Ivyleague, and she's the head of the OBU faculty. My humble self, a fellow of the ACCA as well, an MBA from Alliance Manchester Business School. I've got experience in banking, cutting across risk management, finance, sustainability, amongst others. Move to the next slide, please, Tutu. Okay, I have my colleague Oladimeji, who is also a fellow. He has risk experience in governance, risk and compliance, finance strategy across several industries. So even though Tutu and I are bankers, Dimeji then brings in that flavor from a whole range of other industries. He also has an MBA with socialization and strategic planning. Olakiton Abib is another member of the faculty, an associate member of the ACCA, passionate about strategy, and also has got his teeth in the area of GRC. He's an executive coach, He has this certificate in emotional intelligence and all that. So aside, this academic work, is also, an expert in the area of emotional intelligence. Jonathan, ACCA, ACA, MNIN, an alumnus of the Lagos Business School, has over 15 years experience, professional experience, and is also a very good lecturer, given that he takes several ACCA courses. Muhyiddin, certainly the last but not the least. When I say the last but not the least, Muhyiddin, a member of ACCA as well. He has BSc and MSc from Unilag. He's a seasoned banker as well, and he has several years of experience cutting across finance, strategy, performance, and performance-related functions. So just, I'm sure by now you're already excited about the profile of all these wonderful people I've read out. Would very love to have you on board. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Omolola. We'll be moving over to the main course of the matter today, and I'll be handing over to my colleague Oladimiji to do justice to that. Over to you, Dimiji. Dimiji, seems you're on mute.
Thanks, Tutu.
Okay. All right.
Thanks, Sola, and thank you, Jonathan, for taking us through what we do and also introducing us to everyone on the call. I hope we have a great start today. Okay, so this is where we dive in straight to the business of the day. And just to give a bit of context to what we were discussing, basically it's around what all these OBU degrees all about. How can I get it? What are the criteria for me? What is the level of work required from me and kind of commitment and all the other discussion around it. So I'll take you on a journey. So please don't lose me. And I hope at the end of this discussion, you will have a better understanding of what you need to do with respect to obtaining the Oswald Brooks University Applied Accounting degree. And starting just more like a basic introduction, the OBU degrees is a pathway for ACCA students, and it enables or gives the pathway for ACCA students to get a degree from the Oswald Brooks University. There are conditions for this, but before going into those conditions, your degree is largely a combination of two research work. First is your RAP, which is where you have your research and analysis project, and then also you also have to present as well a slide that shows what you have learned, what you learned on in you performing that journey. The research is not an abstract exercise. The school ensures that whatever you do is practicable, and the learnings that you get from it is applicable in your place of work and in your career. And so this project enables you to push on yourself as well, not only as a qualified accountant, but as well as a degree holder in applied accounting. There are criteria for you before you enroll and get into this program. First, you have to pass 3 ACCA applied skilled examinations. This is financial reporting, audit and assurance, as well as financial management. If you pass those papers, then you qualify you meet the eligibility to start the Oswald Brooks University degree. Also, you also pass, or you have exceptions if you qualify for that, other 6 papers of the knowledge levels and skills level. And most importantly, you also have to have completed your ACCA ethics and professional skills module. We will speak to that later on in the slide. In general, you also have to pass your RAP, which is your research needs to be done within 10 years or the earliest of the date of your first ACCA examination pass or the date of your first ACCA exception being granted. So what do I mean? But the day you pass your first ACCA exam or the date that you got your first exception, 10 years after that, you must have you must have passed your RAP. If you do not pass your RAP by those dates, you may no longer be eligible for the degree. All right, let's move on. Again, like I said, the final decision for your eligibility is based on ACCA makes that final call. We don't. And so we also encourage students to engage ACCA. And one of the things I will emphasize again is the engagement with ACCA. The institute is responsive and it's forward-looking. So connecting with students on various queries and questions is welcome. So I will also just start on that note and encourage you to engage ACCA more on your eligibility, and they will provide more information. And in some cases, I remember when the COVID right at the heat of the COVID, there are some exceptions granted to individuals who normally would not have qualified to write their research project, and they got that exception just by engaging the institute and making a case for themselves. So again, in case you fall within the category where you do not qualify to write the research program, you may want to engage ACCA and gain more clarification. All right, let's move on. Okay, so because this is academic exercise, so there's a degree, and there, just as any other institution, you will have a class of degrees. We have the first class, the second, the upper second, lower second, and then the third class. These are basically grades for your research work. Now, your research work is a combination of what you score, cumulative score in your ACCA exams, and what you score in your research analytics project. So we will get to that at the later on, but on a general view, if you score, there are criteria for this. We have A, B, and C. And if you look at the table we have here, so if you pass both your elements of your RAP and you have an overall grade, and you have an overall grade, is rewarded to you in your RR. So what we mean is if you have 68 or more, and you have either your average score for your ACCA, and you have either A, B, or C in your RAP, then you qualify, you get a first class. If you, then the grade begins to get some bit of modification. If you score 67 and in your research you had a score of A or B, then you get a first class grade. However, if you score a C in your research work and your ACCA average grade is 67, you get an upper second. And also, you have an average score of 66%, and you have an A in your research work, you have a first class. If you have a B or C, then you have a second, or you have an upper second degree. So within the range of 60 to 65, whatever score you have in your RAP, you will have an upper second degree. But again, the grade begins to get some bit of modification again from your 59. If you have a 59 score, if you score an A or a B, you have an upper second. If you have a C in your research work, you have a lower second, all the way down to when you have your 50 to 52, and that is a position where you don't want to be. I mean, let's take it a bit higher. If you have your 53, if you have an average score of 53, and then you have a C in your research work, is a third class. And it's important for you to plan for the class of degree that you want. So the journey starts now. One exercise I'd like you to do is, could you work out your average score? And that will plot you on this table. And you can look at the degree or the class of degree that you desire to have. And then you can begin to start your work. Now, that determines the quality of work, the attention that you will need to put, and just bring a whole lot of reality to the table, and you're able to know what you're going to do per time. I encourage you to do that. It's important. It's important to set the tone. And it's for me, and for some of the individuals who have worked with me, it helps and it gives you that drive. The exercise, the journey is tedious. It's not a degree that you just write in 2-3 days and then you submit. There's a lot of technicality that goes into it, a lot of research, and it can be painstaking. And if you have if you work and you also do some other activities that takes your time, then you also will know that you will have a lot to deal with prioritizing and your timing. So just to set the tone, to motivate yourself, you need to determine what class of degree do you want to get. To get that done, you need to work out the average score of your ACCA and then plot it on this table. Okay, so if you know your average score on the ACCA is below 60, so your option is you cannot have a first class, but there are options for you to have an upper second, because the score for a first class starts from 66 and above, all right? But again, if you don't plan this out and you don't know the class of degree you're working towards, it might cloud your judgment and your expectations might be far from reality, all right? Let's move on. Okay, so in this project work, like it's a research work, so you have to work on a project, and a project will have a start and an end date and things happening in between it. What is required for you is to take a research topic and then build on it, and this includes you getting your primary data, or primary data, secondary data, as it may be required. Your primary data are those data that is generated specifically to answer your research questions. Those are your questionnaires and surveys that you have prepared specifically for your research work. Your secondary data that basically data that are available generally in the general domain, and then you can use those data as well to support your research work. Internal available information is also important. Those are informations that are available internally to the organization, but not available to the public. And the other part is the publicly available information. All these informations and data will be required. We will get to this later in the topic, but just to reemphasize that if you're using internally available information or whatever information you're using, first we'll discuss your referencing. But most important, there's also the ethics part of this research. We do not want ACCA and the school do not want you to use data that has not been given to you or released to you with the intention of what you intend to use that data for. For example, if you're going to use internally available information, say for an organization, and you're working on the drivers of their motivation, and they have internal information, if you're going to use that, you need to get a permission to use it, and you have to declare to the organization why you're using it and the purpose. The school does not want a situation where you use a data that is not meant to be in the public domain and you using it without the required permission. We will speak to that later on in the course of our discussion. So there are a lot of project areas that students can choose from. And this is very important because the ACCA and also Brooks has helped us to shape what we should focus your energy on. So it's not vague. And there's been a lot of improvement in the last couple of, I think last year, there's a total overhaul of these research topics. And now it's more specific, and it showcases what you are expected to do and give an idea of how you can approach it. And it also gives you a bit of the level of information that you need. We've seen over the time, sometimes students start a project And 2 months into the project, we realized that we don't have sufficient information to support what we are trying to work on. So at the word go, this topic areas, the refined topic areas now has helped us to narrow what we're looking for. So at the word go, you know the level of information that is required, you know if you have access to it, and you know the level of work required from you. Now, I will run through this quickly, and I also encourage that if you can, and we will show this later on in the course of our discussion, there is a material that speaks about this research topics and all that you need to know about the Oswald Brooks university degree. We will get to that, but again, these informations are readily available for you if you want to have a deep dive into the research. And also your mentor will also guide you as you proceed in selecting your desired topic. So first off, I'll run through this quickly because there's quite a lot of them. We have analysis and evaluation of organization budgetary control system. And what you expected here is to link their performance management and as well as decision making. I would like you to pay attention to those words, those texts in red font, because they speak to the requirements and the data required for you to proceed on this research work. So the rule is, at a glance, if this research work or topic appears to you like it, but the requirement in terms of the data required for you to do this project is not within your control, it's advisable for you to have a look at other topics. Again, these are one of the things that your mentors will support you in making this decision. Because, for example, the first topic we have here requires you to have primary data collection, okay? And you need access to internally generated information. If you use only secondary data for this project, for this topic, the candidate will likely fail because you have not met the minimum requirement for this topic. So again, it's just to emphasize how detailed and how specific the topics have become recently, and your mentors will guide you in analyzing your strength in terms of access to information and your time management as well. I need not to say that primary data collection can be a little bit tedious and time consuming compared to secondary data. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't consider primary data. It depends on the time that you have, the access to information, and other things that your mentors will discuss with you. So I will run quickly through this. I'd like to discuss more importantly, the new topics that came up last year. So topic 4 and 5, which speaks to, and before we go into that, I mean, COVID has really changed a lot of things. And so as the school, ACC, and Oswald Brooks are also forward-looking institutions, they have also mirrored some of these topics to address the new dynamics that COVID has presented to us. We know some organizations has improved significantly, and we know some organizations have suffered also significantly from the aftermath of COVID. And so some of these topics speaks to that situation. Topic 4 is about analyzing and evaluating the business and financial performance of an organization which has performed exceptionally poor over a 3-year period, with a critical analysis of the reasons for its difficulties. Okay, so you're looking at a 3-year period for an organization that has performed exceptionally poor. Now, so if you're working on this research topic, your focus should be on organizations that have performed exceptionally poor. And you cannot only limit this to COVID. You have to limit it to their strategy, to their new competitions coming in, global economy, and just you can spice it up with COVID, but writing a whole research work on just one aspect of the factor that could cause poor performance will not earn you your desired mark. Again, these are some of the things that your mentors will guide you on. And the reverse is just the question 5 is the reverse of that. So if you're looking for an organization that have performed exceptionally well, and what they've done to make them successful over this period. Let's move on, please. Okay, so again, I'll dwell more on the new topics, and like I said earlier, placing emphasis on the requirement, particularly for the data that you need to present. Topic 8 is new. We want you the topic it requires you to analyze and evaluate the business and financial performance over a 3-year period of an organization operating in a sector that has faced strategic and operational challenges, with an emphasis on how management has addressed these challenges. So now this is a little bit different from what the 2 topics we discussed earlier. Now this is looking at organizations in and operating in a sector that has faced strategic and operational challenges. So what are the strategic challenges? What are the operational challenges? Supply chain is in the midst. Distribution is in the midst. So when you identify all these challenges, then you now need to do further work, research on how management have addressed those challenges. So this narrows you when you're selecting the companies that you're going to analyze. So if you're analyzing a company that is doing exceptionally well, strategically and operationally, and you're using your desired is to pick question 8, that would not be a good fit, because the company that you are analyzing is performing well and will not fit into the criteria for this question. So the new topics have moved on to the position where before you start your research work, you understand what the research work demands, the level of data required, and that shapes you from the organization you will select. So if I bring this home, what I'm saying is the stage at which the orders at which you have to approach your research work has changed a bit. You do not go ahead to select an organization and then look for how they fit. It's better that you look at these topics, address the requirements of this topic, and then look for organizations that fit into those requirements. That way you are able to fix both the questions and you're able to fix both the organization, and it makes your data collection easier. That way you are coordinated and you are able to achieve your goal with respect to time management. And I must emphasize, your research work is time demanding. Okay, so topic 15 is also new and paying attention again to what is required. So topic 15 requires you to have primary data collection, which is your surveys. And you can see here it's saying an access to internet generated information must be used. Emphasis on must be used. So if you do not have access to internet generated information, this might not be a topic for you to select as your research. Midway, you might find some challenges in accessing those information, and you might, worst case scenario, have to start all over again by looking for an organization and just maybe again selecting a new topic. Okay. All right, so I'll move on to the, just on a general note, we discussed a lot about the research topic, and again, your mentors will guide you on this. The main focus of this research is for you to form an analysis and evaluation of the issues, within the context of the organization that you have selected. Okay, so your RAP must focus on one organization. Okay, and you must also have a comparative company so that you can tell how things have moved. You can compare with an organization, we can compare with the industry average, but there must be something to compare. If you're doing an analysis, there must be a comparative numbers to relate that your analysis with. And secondly, your analysis must be a business analysis, not just financial analysis. What does this mean? It's not just to say revenue grew by 2%, sales dropped by 15%, expenses grew by 45%. What does it mean? Okay, so the research work enables you to use all the experience you've gathered while writing the ACC examinations and putting them all into your research work. So revenue went up. Are there strategic decisions? Are there socio-economic changes? What is happening? What is your pestle? What is your portfolio forces? What are the demands? Why is demand changing? In the recent days, the demand for video conferencing and tools has really gone off the chart. Okay, but we can't just say, oh, revenue grew for example, Zoom by 200%. Why? What are the drivers? What is the implication of those drivers? And that is what brings you into the light when your examiner is assessing and marking you. And recall, all of this we're talking about is to ensure that you have a good grade. And like I used to say, it's good that you put the first step forward, because writing this exam again will not qualify you to have the desired grade that you have. We'll speak to that later on as we discuss. Okay. All right. So I think we should move on to past the project topics. Now, these are some of the tips that I discussed earlier, but just to emphasize, I think I've covered this enough. First, we cannot overemphasize this. Availability and access to data is key. This is a research work. You will need data. You will need to prove that your position, you need to prove, make a statement, you have your research questions, and you have data that support your position. If you do not have data, it's likely that the research work might be stressful for you, might take longer time. So it's important in your planning phase, consider the availability and your access to data. You can also use information on news and other media, and you have to also be careful where you get your news from, because this is also a research work. Your research, your references must be credible. You shouldn't use Wikipedia and all of that. Use things like Financial Times, your Business Day. If you're writing about a company in Nigeria, use the economics and magazines and journals that are credible, and gives you more that can support your research question. A comparator is important. Like I mentioned earlier, this is analysis. So as you're analyzing a company, you must be able to relate that to a comparative company. Public or privately held. Okay, so these are your choice. You might consider a public public company or a privately held company. It depends on, again, your topic and the availability of data. But from experience, companies that are listed on major exchanges have large data available in the public. So, for example, if your company you're analyzing is a company listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, you will see it's easier for you to access their financial statement because it's on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Some analysts would have worked on the results and give their position, and you can take a cue on some of the strategic decision or the operational decision the business has made that has led the organization either to grow or to decline. And so, but basically, this is also a bit of your decision in terms of how you intend to get your data to support your research work. Your personal interest is critical. You need to, like I said, this is a journey. It's painstaking. So you need to ensure that you're motivated. So do what you love. In terms of doing that, you also need to come to reality of what the demands are. So while I love to analyze a company that is focused on motivation for employees, I need to be sure that I have data that support it. I have I have private information on how employees respond to salary increase and all of that. Those are confidential information. So you need to be sure that you can have access to it. And not only have access, you will be granted that access to it. So you can have an access and not grant the access. So you have to consider the entire spectrum of the possibilities that will happen. Again, your choice of industry and sector. Some industry are very, I use the word very interesting. I have bias for FMCG companies. I'm sure Tutu has bias for financial services as well. So you need to select a company, an industry that supports that supports your research. Again, some industries have a lot of data. Some industries do not have so much data. But again, that is one of the reasons why you need a mentor, and your mentor will guide you through this journey. Okay, so in terms of the word limit and the structure of your research report, we will dive into this later. I mean, there's a section that speaks into the nitty-gritty of what. So in a nutshell, you're submitting two research, your research report and your skills and learning statement. Your research report has three parts. Your part one talks about the general, more or less setting the tone. So it set the tone on your objective, your research questions. This is where you answer questions around why are you interested in this topic, why are you interested in the sector, and you can release some of your experience, or some of your desires, some of your motivating factor into your chapter one. I think the OBU research work is really interesting because it helps you, it balances both academic and personal opinion in the same result. And it's quite interesting for me because in your chapter one, you write about your past experience. You can write about what motivates you into that topic. Why are you selecting this organization? And basically all is around setting the tone for your research work. Part two is where you bring all your data gathering in together. So this is where you bring in your data. This is where you discuss or highlight the techniques that you intend to use for your research work. Again, we'll speak to this later on. And recall, I'd like you to pay attention to the word limit. The part one is 1,000 words, so you can't write the love story all through your research work. You have a word limit of 1,000 words. Your part two, 2,000, all about your approach and your data gathering. And part three, which is the real deal of this research work, is your results and your conclusion recommendation. This is where you fix all this together. This is where you combine both the numericals and non-numericals. This is where you combine the strategy with economical development and global changes, and you can tell a story and make a recommendation based on all the data as presented to you. In addition to writing your research work, then you also have a skills and learning statement. We call this SLS. And this is you reliving your experience on the journey. How have you improved? For some of us on this call, we might not be efficient in the use of Excel. And now at the end of this exercise, due to the analysis that you have done, you're now more comfortable with the use of Excel. For some of us, we don't use PowerPoint for our presentation. A PowerPoint presentation is demanded for you for your SLS. So again, this gives you the opportunity to build a PowerPoint presentation yourself. And so these learnings are some of the things that your examiners would want to know about you. They are called the graduate skills. And one of the things I recommend is keep a journal. You cannot afford to wait till the end of your research work before you will put in your SLS together. You will forget a lot of things. We are talking about 2-3 months journey here. So I would recommend that you keep a journal. Whatever excites you, whatever represents a challenge, is more or less the examiner just want to know how you have fared in your journey as you write your research report. Okay, so in addition to you just submitting your research work, it's important, very important, that you pay attention to the quality of your work. What determines whether you have an A or a B or a C is largely the quality of your work. And in addition to that, plagiarism checks is important. We can't overemphasize it. Your referencing, appropriate referencing is important. I have seen some situations where my students failed their rap, not because the examiner really acknowledged the fact that this is an amazing research work. However, you did not reference your tables. How can referencing a table cause an examiner to fail a research work? And that is to tell you the level of detail that your examiners will go through when analyzing and when reviewing your submission. And it's also important to let you know that this degree is very dynamic and unique in the sense that for other degrees that I have written in my personal career journey, I have the opportunity to stand before some lecturers and give them a presentation of what my research is all about. And we can have a conversation on some areas of clarification that they need, and I can give it to them online real time. However, for your OBU degree, you do not have that privilege. The only communication between yourself and your examiner is all that you have written in your research work. So if there's anything you would like your examiner to know, it's better you put them all in your research work. Otherwise, your examiner would have no idea and will only give you a score based on your submission. So your quality control is important, and we'll discuss more about plagiarism checks. And again, just to emphasize that it's important that you have, Lola mentioned it earlier in the call, that as part of what we do, we also have internal quality control checks where students who are who are mentoring, their research work is being passed to another mentor, just to ensure that we have the 360 check and ensure that we bring you the right quality that can give you the possible mark available to you. Okay, so on plagiarism check, there is a website which really is being used by OBU, and we recommend that you check your work before you finally submit. And it is just important that you do. And I really want to, I know this, you are going to pay for this. It's called Authenticate. You're going to pay for this. However, it's important that there are other tools, plagiarism check tools that are available. I strongly recommend you. I strongly recommend you to stick with Authenticate. Using another plagiarism check, some of them are free, might not be to your advantage. So how does this work? Plagiarism check tools work in the sense that, particularly Turnitin, when you submit your work, it goes into a database, right? Whatever platform to some schools or to any platform where you submit your research work, there's a database and it's been logged. Some of these plagiarism checks too, some of them are not as credible as they appear. When you submit your research work, they use your research work and sell to some other individuals who are also writing a similar research work. And when those people submit your work before you do, then you're most likely going to have close to 100% similarities. Secondly, some of these plagiarism checks too that you use, when you run your work with them, it gets logged in Turnitin. You have not used Turnitin for it, but when you run it on some of these free tools, Turnitin picks it and logs it as a submission. So by the time you're submitting to OBU, then you realize that you have high similarities because this has been previously submitted on another platform that Turnitin has picked. So we really recommend, and the school also recommends, you stick with authenticate. Might cost you a bit, but it saves you a lot in terms of the stress that might occur when you have high similarity results. Okay, so just a bit of the preparation. I think we discussed this a lot, and I think I will just dwell more on on understanding the constraint that we have, and this is largely around your planning. You have to plan your research work. This is not a quick fix. While the degree has a very short period, a university degree would take about 3 to 4 years, and this is taking you maybe about 6 months or less to close. But do not be deceived with the shortness of the period. It does not relate to the fact that it's an easy ride. It's going to be an easy ride. So first is your research. Okay, must be business analytics and evaluation. Like we mentioned, not just a financial analysis of X went up, Y went down. And your conclusion and recommendation must address your research questions. And we'll speak more into that, but just to emphasize that, like I mentioned earlier, your journey is whatever you're writing is you're taking your examiner who has no idea of your background, and you're taking them on a journey through what your thought processes are. So in between, if there's a mismatch between the research questions that you have declared in your chapter 1 and the recommendation and conclusion you are given in your part 3, then your examiner is confused, and at that point you can't align what you are saying and what you are recommending. So again, this is one of the areas where your mentors can guide you to ensure that you are aligned and there's a flow of thought from your first word to the last word. You have to be smart in terms of your objectives. Make it plain. Let's be realistic. It's going to take resources, particularly your time, and you have to be ready for it. Again, I'll run through these. You have to consider wide sources of information. I've seen some research work where the student is referencing the same source, the same person multiple times on this. I mean, it is not possible. This cannot be the only individual who has knowledge about this topic. It shows to an examiner, it shows that the student is lazy and probably does not have what is required to earn a great score. So like I mentioned earlier, you need to determine the grades that you want, an A, a B, or C, and that will motivate you in terms of how you're going to go all out for this degree. So if you're considering to write a research work that will earn you a good grade, then you need to show the examiner that you have done a research. A research is data gathering, exposing yourself to so many information and having that capability to filter what is important and writing your research work and giving a conclusion. So in terms of the structures and the word count and all that, Tutu will take us on that journey, and just to show how all I've said will come in real form as you begin to put in your research work together. Tutu, over to you.
Thank you so much, Dimeji, for that extensive overview of what the RAP project entails. Thanks for your time. I think you've done the job, right? I'll just seek to continue. Please, can you confirm I'm audible? Can you hear me? Okay. All right.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. And just to be sure that everyone is still following us, please, can you just say hello or I or something?
Hello.
Yeah, just to be sure that we have not lost you. How has it been so far?
So far, so good. Yeah, I have some questions, but I'll just wait till the end of the class.
Till the end. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Yes, we have a session for question and answer, but I just wanted to be sure that everyone was, we're still very much together. You know how the virtual experience can be, where people just, plug onto sessions and then they just go away. and then you call their names and we're not even sure they're there. So we just wanted to be sure that people are still following. So it's just one person talking. I like to hear from others. I can see Jidiola, I can see Iyama. Just, just say something. We just want to be sure that you're following us.
Hello, Tutu. Good morning.
Hello, morning, everyone. Okay, yeah. So happy to know that everyone is following us. Like I said, we would have a time where we would be extensively, taking question and answer. And we won't overflow what has been discussed already. Dimeji did justice to that, helped us to know that, the RAP is, when I say RAP, it means Research Analysis Project, is divided into, it's divided into three parts: the part one, the part two, and the part three. And then it has also helped us to understand what each one entails. But just to bring a little more addition to that is, like you said, part one helps you to, write it in your own way and tell us the reason why, or tell the examiner the reason why you have chosen the topic and the reason why you've also decided to choose that industry. OBU wants you to be intentional. That's the reason why, there's a justification. And there is a document called the information pack. We always tell our mentees that we really would not like to have any conversation with you if you have not digested and effectively understood the requirement that is documented in the information pack. Someone said jokingly that if you want to hide anything from Nigerians, that you should put it in a book. I want you all to prove this wrong, because the success of this project, which is largely a function of your average from your applied skill papers, and of course, the grade you have in this project, lies in your hands. Information is everywhere. And if you don't go for it, there are things that people ask, just send me a short chat. So I'm not sure what this is. And I'm like, go to this document. There's already there. I asked that you read this before we start. So it's important that you read the requirement of that information pack, not for examination purpose, but yes, to understand the requirements and help yourself to have good success. In Ivyleague mentoring session, we've had students that have made us very proud, students that have had A's in their project. Yes, some of them they had first class, some of them had A's and still didn't have first class, of course, a function of their average rate. But what I have seen that makes a difference for all these people is that they paid attention to details. So very important that you understand the requirements, the overall objective, and then you follow the tune. Major already told us that part one is 1,000 words, right? So your project totally is supposed to be 7,500 words. Anything after 7,500 words, the marker will not evaluate. So you do not want to just maybe the majority of the sense-making part of your project is after 7,500 words, then you will have lost the opportunity. And then remember, I would be leveraging on what Dimeji said, because yes, he went ahead of me. Remember that you will not also be there. It's a research project that is submitted to a body of examiners that do not sit in your jurisdiction. And you are also this raises with everyone in the world, everyone that have decided to write ACCA and have opted for applied accounting is writing this project with you. So that industry or that company that you have chosen, that you have decided to just sufficiently review, someone else has taken time to review it in depth. Coincidentally, fortunately or unfortunately for you, your project might lie in the hand of one single person. And the person is just wondering, did these people do the same thing? So it's a race across the world, so to say. You're competing with your fellow professional accountants across the world, and it's not like the normal undergraduate project where, you just have to go and look for one project, then start to type it out or start to, copy and paste and all that. It's not allowed in this kind of project. Dimeji also discussed extensively what you need for information gathering. Oxford Brooks, Com, ACCA, they've made it very easy. There is as you're choosing the topic, you can tell the requirements. you know what you should be up for, whether you're gathering internal data, whether you're gathering external data, whether you need approvals and all that. You can tell from the beginning. So it's from the beginning, you're counting your costs and you're determining what you really want to do. For your session 2 or your part 2 that talks about information gathering and accounting and business techniques, this part is where you will be leveraging on the work of others. And hence the reason why ensuring that you do appropriate referencing is very important. And someone will ask me, if I have gathered internal information, why do I then need to reference a lot? After all, I gathered this information from questionnaires, from research, from interviews. I would have written it in my words anyways. Why do I need to reference again? The truth is that there are things that are basic, like if you tell me what is the definition of accounting, if all of us that were on this call, if we were to define accounting, there will be words that we will speak that will be similar, not necessarily because we have gone to copy it from somewhere, but because we read, understood it, and then we're saying those things in our words, but they're definitely not ours. I didn't define accounting, for example. It is a general knowledge. Even though I am saying it in my words, I still need to remember that there's a fundamental definition that is informing my choice. Hence the reason why appropriate referencing is very important. Then you must discuss how you got the information, a description of how you collected the data, any limitation you experienced while gathering the data. For internally generated information, of course, ethical issues. Just say, for example, you're researching into an organization that has performed poorly. Let's even assume that you were able to get this internal data. The truth is that as much as possible, they know that you're gathering this information because you will have also written to Oxford Brooks to give you a clearance. So the company knows that this research work is solely for academic purpose alone. But there's still that notion that this information that I'm giving to you, could get into the hands of the wrong person and can be used against us. So you could be lied to, you could get the information and get half-truths. So many ethical information issues, come with gathering internal data that is not as much if you were gathering external data. And then, of course, Dimeji already said this, your analysis is more than just discussing whether there was a drop or a growth in the metrics. It is business technique. You want to understand, the nitty-gritty, and then you're explaining the limitation of whatever business technique that you have chosen to use. Part 3 is an overall, is 4,500 words, and it's like the final answer. That's not to say that is the most important part in the study. I know that there are people that have taken their part 3 seriously. They didn't write part 1 and part 2 well. They failed part 1 and part 2, and then, of course, the project was still a fail. So yeah, give good and adequate attention to your part 3, but don't limit the attention you're also giving to your part 1 and part 2. Your part 3 is the summary of the story. It's a description of what you have found. It's an answer to your research objectives. Remember that in your part 1, you will have told us the reason why you chose the topic, told us the reason why you're doing this analysis, and what your research objectives are. Then in part 3, you're then, analyzing your objective to be able to draw a conclusion, and everything must tie from your objective to your conclusions. So just while Dimeji was presenting, I remember the example that he gave, and I quickly went to look for the results of that person. And while I'm not going to share it, but I'm just going to read it out for us, what the examiner has said. So when the examiner marks, they mark your understanding of accounting and business model. This person had a pass. Your understanding of application of accounting and business model, this person had a pass. Evaluation of information, analysis, and conclusion, this person had a pass. Presentation of project finding, this person had a pass. They mark you on communication. On communication, this person had a pass. On information gathering and referencing. Referencing usually is difficult for a lot of mentees. This person had a pass. On information technology, this person had a fail. And this is the comment that the examiner had put in the report. It is a requirement that your spreadsheet contains formulas used to carry out the calculation. Please refer to the information pack. They quoted the session. It was a fail. Then the research project. Remember, the only fail I've told you here, right, is on information technology, right? On the research project, let me read the examiner's comment to you. It says, this is a good piece of work. It is a pity that you have overlooked IT requirements. And why did I take time to read this to us? So that we understand that part 3 is very important. Your tables, your graphs, your Excel, it has to be adequately linked. You're not going to be there to explain how you did a growth, how you wrote those tables, and then how you did your graph. All your workings, all your linkages must be there. Guess what? Dimeji also told us that there is a part of this project that is called SLS, your skills and learning statement. This person had a pass on the communication skills. This person had a pass. The only fail across the net, I want to say network, across the project requirements was on information technology. And specifically, it was on not linking the right, he just value pasted all his Excel and then, just submitted it. Guess what? This project was a fail, total fail at the end of the day because of just this reason. It's one of the projects that has failed, during my mentorship journey that was painful to me as a mentor. So we need to really be careful. This is not to scare us in any way, but to let us know that every requirement that is detailed in the Oxford Book Pack is very, very, very important. And I remember again that when Dimeji was making his presentation, once you fail this project once, you are then limited and capped to a C. So all the table that he showed earlier of how your projection goes, once you have a fail for the first time, no matter how excellent your project is, you will never have an A again. I would have assumed, looking at the content of this person's work, maybe the person would have had an A. Of course, this is just a maybe scenario. But then, just because of that, the project was a fail. So it's very important that we take cognizance of that. I will not overflog this. I know we discussed this already. The skills and learning statements. I've also seen projects that passed all the RAP and failed SLS, right? If you fail your SLS, you'll be required to write the SLS alone at the next resubmission. So once you have passed your RAP, you proceed, you don't have to write the RAP again, but you would then need to rewrite your SLS. Remember, you would then also be capped to a C. So it's very important. Like I said, I'll be leveraging on what Dimeji has already said. He already told us that your skills and learning statement should be, as you're starting your research project, you're starting your SLS alongside. The common error that I've seen over the years that I've been a mentor is the fact that people want to wait till the tail end. They forget that there is something called skills and learning statement, and they forget it. And towards the end, they are gasping to then write something. And at that point, they really do not remember the communication in nitty-gritty, and they are not able to, represent and present what they learned as the project went through. And I remember that there was also a project that failed SLS. And what was the reason? It was said that this person copied another person's work. Like, we will go to referencing. It's very important. I do not, under no circumstance on earth, should you copy another person's SLS. It is your own reflection, not another person's. So, and what will make you to want to copy another person's work is when you have not taken time to dedicate hours to it. And someone would ask me, I am working, I have a family, and I hear you talk about dedication. How do I do it? People always say that adulthood is calm, right? But then we really need to, whatever is worth doing is worth doing well. Let me remind us, this is not cheap, right? You would pay for mentorship, you would pay for the submission, 445 pounds. This is not small money. So if you want to do this, then of course you must dedicate your time to it. There are 2 questions you need to answer in your SLS. How you have developed personally. Before it used to be 4. Now with the revision, as with the new topics that Dimeji also, highlighted earlier, came the revision of the SLS questions into 2. What we want to know is how you have developed personally and professionally as a result of the undertaking this RAP. What new skills did you acquire? How did you develop them? So if I were you from the beginning, I'll start to document the things that I'm acquiring. Then a lot of mentees that come, one thing that always happens is that they, gain knowledge in a lot of analytical tools. They would have acquired knowledge on analytical tools. They would improve on their Excel proficiency. They will be making maybe their first, presentation, so some of you, it might not be the same for you, but yes, I'm saying like 50% of the people that we've mentored over the years, it's always the things that are new that they've gained. Start looking at it and start, documenting it, of course, as well as the challenges that you faced and how you overcame them. Another very important thing is, how do you think this experience will help you in the future? See the reason why you need to reflect on it early enough so that you can document something very good. Or, how do you think this will make you more employable and capable, right, in the future? How do you think this would influence your future plans, long-term and short-term? So these questions are not restrictive. They would help you to think, and it is always good to start, reflecting on this early. The limit is also 2,000 words, right? Then it would be nice to also talk about resubmissions. There are people that may be on this call that have attempted it before and that would want to resubmit. Just remember that once you have a failed grade once, you can't have an A or a B again. You would only be eligible to a C grade. And then after your third submission, of course, you'll be disqualified from, the first one, the second one. After the third one, you would no longer be able to submit your research project. So more like you have 3 chances at it and capped at C. And then if you fail your SLS, I mentioned, you would not have to submit a RAP again. You would only need to submit your SLS. If the topics have changed, then of course you then need to look at the resubmission rules. So that would be quickly on the resubmission rule. Then I move over to submission. There are very important milestones that you must remember so the first eligibility criteria is that, of course, you would have written your applied skill papers, or you've written it and you are waiting your results, or you have your results already. Then you must have completed your professional ethics module. Right, professional ethics module. Now, the deadline for the eligibility, if you would like to submit with this May submission, is 25th of March. If you have not completed your professional ethics module by 25th of March, then you're no longer eligible. I remember that there was one mentee, one of the submission rounds, very studious. He was going through everything. In fact, it was with us at the OBU submission day. Then I just said, okay, let's recount, the things, let's tick the box and be sure that everything we need to tick is already ticked off. Then I asked everyone in the class again, I hope we've all submitted our ethics module. Then he went, which one is that? I'm like, which one is that? If you do not submit your ethics module, you're not eligible to submit this project. Then he just went, and then he discovered that he had not submitted. He had not wasted pretty much of time, and he couldn't continue. So very important that you're ticking the box from the beginning. We'll keep emphasizing it to you. Your mentor will keep talking to you about it. 25th of March is quite a number of things to do. And then I know that you also pay for this now. Before, it used to be free. So please count the cost and ensure that by 25th of March 2022, you're already done with this. Then there is a point for early submission. There is a point for late submission. We always encourage our mentees to submit early. If you aim to submit May 1st, then even if there is need to then extend, but if you're waiting till the last day, after 11th of May, you are no longer eligible to submit for May. So the result, of course, is usually out on, they give you a specific date on the 21st September 2022. Your result is out. Good news again. I know that, the rate of foreign currency, issues that we've had in Nigeria in recent time, a lot of people may just wonder, where do I get 445 pounds at this time? The school also allows you to make your submission, even if you have not made this payment. Only that on the 21st of September, your result is not going to be released if you have not paid. So for you to be able to get your result on the 21st September 2022, you must have made your payment. So thought to quickly emphasize that, so that, we will understand what we are up for. Then very important, anytime you're unclear, ask your mentor. If your mentor still feels that you need to reach out to OBU, their email remains acca@brooks.ac.uk. Anything that you need, and they are very responsive. In less than 3 working days, you will get a response from them. Now we're moving over quickly to the almighty referencing. And it is the reason why a lot of people fail their research work. And referencing is not what you do after you have completed your part 1 to 3. It is what you do as you progress in the journey. Referencing is ensuring that you are acknowledging all source that is not directly yours, whether you're paraphrasing the word, whether you are rephrasing it, whether you're rewording it, provided that idea is not your innate and ingenuine idea, then you must ensure that it is appropriately referenced. So what are you doing when you're referencing? You want to ensure that you are showing credence to the source of another person's work. You are helping us to know that, okay, this is not entirely mine. I have leverage on another person to do this. Dimeji already told us the eligible criteria for referencing. Of course, just copying something over the web and just pasting it, doesn't qualify as referencing. For your OBU project, what qualifies is the Harvard business style referencing. And, we'll show and demonstrate it as we proceed. Like I said, I encourage every one of us, as soon as you're interested in this, get the information pack, read it. How do you reference? You can acknowledge the work of others, you can paraphrase, you can summarize, and you can quote. When you're quoting, that means you're lifting exactly what the person has said. There is a way to quote, there's a way to summarize, there's a way to paraphrase. And, I would like us to, take time to read it. All the things that we have on our slides here, they are also on the information pack, and then we'll go into relevant examples. So yeah, like I said, you can summarize, you can paraphrase. I do not want to waste our time too much on this call, so that we do not dwell too much on this. It could take time. So so these are things that you should read through and understand effectively how to reference. So before I leave referencing, I think that I should just quickly show us how to do an effective reference. Let me just quickly show us. Okay, so please confirm you can see my screen. I have a blank. What's the code on my screen? Can we see it? Can we see my screen?
Yes, teacher.
Yes.
All
I
right,
can see your
good. All right, thank
You
you.
can see your screen.
Okay, thank you. So if you look at my screen, I have a blank Word document, and there is a tab called reference. Can we all see what I clicked on? There's a tab called reference. So I am going to the style, and I want to change the style. I hope I have Harvard here. I want to change the style to Harvard style. I think it's same as AP. Okay, I have Harvard. Thank you. So I've changed the style. I have a lot here, yeah. I've changed the style to Harvard, right? So I have come to referencing, change the style to Harvard, and let's assume that I am writing applied. So what's the topic of what I want to write? Let me just say I'm writing on principles of accounting. And I want to ensure that I want an effective referencing. So I come here, remember I changed the style already, and I'm going to insert citation, and I'll go to add new source. Please, I hope you're following. I've gone to insert citation. I am adding new source. Now, don't worry, we'll ensure that as soon as you're assigned a mentor, your mentor also takes you through this. But then if you can follow, just follow as much as you can. This is the only acceptable way to reference your project. And if you do not follow the style, remember that because I changed it to Harvard, under here it's telling me bibliography field for Harvard and Gila. So is there everything here is already showing me how I can reference and how it is supposed to be for Harvard and Harvard referencing, which is what ACC allows. So you can either be referencing a book, a section in a book, a journal article, an article in a periodical, a conference proceeding, a report, a web. Can you see there's so many things you can be referencing? Could be a miscellaneous document, could be a film, could be a performance, could be a sound, it could be act, anything that you're trying to reference. But remember, you were doing, this is for an academic purpose, and then I'd expect that a lot of things you would do could either be website, book session, or report. So let's assume you're doing journal. Remember that immediately, so say the field for book is slightly different from the field for journal article. So you see, so I want to reference a journal article. So let's assume that the person that wrote this journal is my humble self, Adetutu Oludare. Maybe I wrote it with all my what's it called? Let me do one that I wrote alone, then I will do another that I wrote with someone else, right? So what's the title of this, my article? Who wants to help me with the title? I didn't want to pre-populate this so you can follow. So what should be the title of my article? Impact of what? Are we following me? Okay, impact of virtual learning. Impact of virtual learning on mentorship. Let's assume that this was the article that I wrote. That's the title. My journal name, maybe it is Economics Journal or maybe Finance Journal. Don't forget that all these things you would see on the document that you're trying to reference. I wrote this because it's virtual. I wrote it in 2021. Let's assume it's page 6, and it is my second volume, and it is issue 4. All these things you would find on the document. So I've populated all this. I say, okay. So you would see that it's showing me immediately, it brought this out. I can edit the citation just in case there's something else I want to write. I can click this and edit the source just in case you forgot anything. Now I remember, so Oludare is my surname. So you can see I already saw it and then I can edit appropriately, right? So I do this. So it's saying, do I want to edit the master list? So if I want to get the total and I want to get a reference, right? A reference list now from the things that I've done, I'll just come to bibliography and then I click on it. It will tell me what I've written. Can you see bibliography? Shows Adetutu O, Impact of Virtual Learning on Mentorship. It's a finance journal. It is volume 2. It is page 6. So let's do another one. So anything that you have written will keep adding to your virtual source automatically. See the reason why you should do this early. I go again and add another source. Remember that I said that this time around, I want to write it with other people, right? So I put Oludare Adetutu. Add. I want to put Oladimeji. So Oladimeji's surname and put here Olajiton. So maybe Fashesin. You see, I'm intentionally writing more people so that you can see how this would come out. Let me write one more person. So let me put Muideen Akwena Muideen. These are the people that wrote this article. It's putting all of us together, right? Still impact of virtual learning. Sorry. On OBU, on mentorship, sorry. I said it's a finance journal. was written in 2021. It is page 6. This I'm just writing randomly. It is issue 4. Okay. See, immediately it gives me something. Can you see Oludare et al.? What does that mean? It means that this was written by Oludare and some people. So in your project, sometimes people used to think that people type this in manually, but no, it's supposed to be, if you follow the Harvard business writing style, it would pop up and write it this way just because there are more than one author, right? So if you go to your bibliography now and click on it again, you'll see that, of course, you might need to do this as many times as possible or wait till the end. But you'll see again that it's showing me the first one I wrote and the second one now duly putting our surname, our first name. That's the way it will write it. Then it will tell you what it is. And then already, remember that your bibliography is reference, right? And at the end of the day, you would not struggle with referencing at all. In fact, okay, you could decide to pick the one that has referencing. They mean the same thing. So as soon as you add more things, don't forget that you'll be putting this after each word. After you have written something, reference, then you just go to your bibliography and populate it. And you would have everything appropriately typed. You're not thinking about, oh, where do I put a comma and all, once you follow the simple style. I hope we got my description so I can move on quickly. So like I said, we will take time out to ensure that we explain this in details to you again as soon as you get on board. I need to be fast now so we can finish and then go into our question and answer session. This I won't also waste time on. What the examiner will be looking out for to give you a grade A, to give you a grade B, to give you a grade C, or to say it's failure. Of course, there's no one that does not or would not give credence to anyone that has done wide reading. Like I said, someone from, and then you know that the people from China, the people from India, a lot of times, it looks like I don't know, it looks like they are always, more techie, more, all those people you are competing with, right? And someone may just be picked that company that you are also picking, irrespective that is a Nigeria company, someone in China, someone in UK, someone in Europe, anywhere. They just decide that, they want to write the same thing that you're writing, and imagine that they've covered something more extensively than you've done. And it is in the pool and people are reading it. People can tell, when you see a good work, you can tell it's a good work. And don't forget that these people that are your examiners, this is what they do every time. They read through, and they understand. They can, and of course they have, a lot of algorithms to pick through, the topics, and they can combine things together and then give to the mentor. So to the examiner, your evidence of wild reading would be the only reason why you can get an A. Your ability to demonstrate that you understand the business models that you have applied, and they apply to that question. So business models they're the commonly used one. I hear people talk about Pestel, I hear people talk about Participy forces and stuff like that. But in case you were doing a topic that has to do with human capital, and then you are concentrating on a model that is evaluating the external environment, that doesn't, there's no jive between what you're writing and the model that you're using to appraise it. That way, there will be issues, and then it won't be good success, right? So identification of full discussion of the theories, the limitations, and everything, all the way down. You see appropriate choice, where limited, how you can have a B, you can have a C, and how you can have a D in this project. I recommend that, we just read through all those things that they've been extracted from the information pack, and you can read through and get, what you need. I want to quickly, before we go into our Q&A session, tell us that Oxford Brookes, in line with ACCA, to ensure that you are successful in applied accounting, in your project in applied accounting, they've made so many things available. There is a dedicated YouTube channel now that you can go to that will tell you everything you need to know about Oxford Brookes. The link is here. There are webinars, that will tell you, what you should look out for in your part 1, what you should look out for in your part 2, how to write. They usually, there was one that was held 3 days ago, February 2nd. It was talking to the overview of the RAP project itself. As you join, we'll keep reminding you of the relevant webinars, because in those sessions, you would have a lot of things that you can leverage on. Then they also now have, just the same way we have examiners reports in our ACCA, in the past papers, there are now examiners reports also for the applied accounting OBU offering. So you want to know what people didn't do well the last submission, how you can leverage on it. They have also provided relevant information on it. There's no time. I don't want to waste our time. I will have just clicked on the link, but we'll share all those links with you, as soon as you get on board. Then the other business writing style that I just demonstrated, there is also a dedicated, resource on it that can help you to understand, the requirements. So at this point, I'll hand over to my colleague Muideen to take us through the question and answer session. Thank you. Hi, Muideen. Can you hear me? Hello, Muideen, are you there? Am I still audible?
You're very much audible.
Okay, all right. Just while we are trying to wait for Muideen to see if you can hear us, Abib, are you on the call? Can you hear me, Abib? Okay, let's just go over to the question and answer session now. So if you do have any question, yeah, please let's continue. As soon as you can hear us, it will take over from me. So please, it's time to ask your questions from us. We're happy to take your questions now. Thank you.
Hello.
Okay.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Muideen. Yeah, it's over to you.
Hello, I can hear you too. Can you hear me?
Yes, clearly, we can hear you. It's time for question and answer. I said it's over to you now. Okay, so people, Jide, please, you can proceed with your question.
Tutu, can you hear me? I'm actually talking.
Yes, actually, we can hear you clearly. Hello? We can hear you, Muideen.
Hello, Tutu, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I think there's a couple of distraction there.
Okay,
I think we should
you
proceed.
can hear me now.
Yes, actually. Okay. Please.
Okay, so thank you.
I think he's having network issues.
Okay, yes, I see so as well. That's fine. GJ, please go ahead with your question.
So, thank you. I think this is a good morning. And thank you for all the explanation and the clarification so far. So my question is, okay, so on the requirement from the side of the ACCA exams, does it have to be from your scores from F1 to F9? And then if you feel that in one or two papers you didn't get a desirable score, can you write those papers before you then put in for your Oxford Brooks? So that's my question. Thank you.
Okay, interesting question, and thanks for asking. So it is an average of your applied skill papers alone. So which is the scores that you had from your the three papers for financial management, financial reporting, and your PM. So that it's the average of your grade in those three from applied skill papers, that count. Now, interesting question you asked as to whether you can decide to rewrite the exam. It's okay, you can clarify because yes, it's possible to forfeit. So another question that I know another person might want to ask is, what if I got exemptions, from those papers? So yes, you can forfeit your exemptions and then write the papers. But now if you have written it before, because you can see that you didn't have a pretty good grade, you want to write them again. Yeah, you can write to ACCA to tell them that, okay, yes, I have a pass here, undo the pass, and then I'd like to write the papers again. And if it's possible, they'll just let you know. But yes, it's an average of the papers in your applied skills alone. It's not from F1.
Okay, so we're looking at PM, FM, and FR.
Yes, PM,
Only.
FM, FR, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, so and that's form. So for people, so this is what people do. For people that then need a transcript to go to another university, maybe for MSc, for MBA purposes, that's what forms your transcript. So they would, it's an average of what you got in PM, FM, FR, then your project that is presented as the transcript that will be used to then process your admission into a further education. Or you could just jolly well switch into MSc in professional accounting if you decide to do that with University of London.
So another thing is, so what's the grading for the project, for the RAP? Since you say A, B, or C.
A, B, C, F. A, B, C, F. I don't know whether you joined on time. We had a table. Let me go back to that table. We had an extensive table that showed what it should be. It's on my screen now, if you can see it. Let me make it presentation mode.
Yes. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, will that be all the questions you have? Sorry, I have to go back to the room so I can see people raising their hands. Okay, thank you, Jude.
Yes,
Thanks for joining. Josiah, please go ahead. Please, if you do have a question, use the raise hand button so we could call you.
Good afternoon, ma. Good morning, ma.
Okay, good morning.
Okay, ma. Okay, thanks for the presentation. But you said the applied skills, I thought there was 6 number. You said just 3 just now.
So I'm saying that it is the average of the what you have in those 3 papers, right? That form the basis for. It's not all papers, that moves you
it's
over.
It's not all applied skills papers.
Yes, let me go back to the eligibility criteria. If you can see my screen. So 3 papers, 3 applied skills papers, examination, financial reporting, which used to be F7, your audit and assurance, and your financial management. Those are the papers that qualify you. Is it clear? Hello, Josiah? Hello? If you can still hear me.
Hello, can you hear me?
Okay, yes, I wasn't
hearing you.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, I didn't see the slide you're showing just now.
Oh,
I didn't see the.
Can you see it? I said we presented it earlier. Your eligibility criteria,
okay.
3 applied skills examination. Can you see my screen now?
I can see it, yes.
Okay, financial reporting, audit and assurance, financial management.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So once you are done with these 3, you can now enroll for groups. You don't have to bother about the other ones first.
Oh yeah, you don't have to have written the professional papers. You're eligible once you've written all. So don't forget, you must have written all the papers and you must have passed these 3. So if you have written, so I have mentees that they just wrote the exams, these 3 exams, they just wrote them, and they're not sure what the results will be yet, but they want to also proceed with their Oxford Brooks. They are hopeful that they would pass exceptionally. Yeah, they also go ahead. But don't forget that your results will not be released until those papers are passed. So, yeah.
Okay. What is where if I've written those 3 and I still have, let's say, PM and tax to write, it doesn't matter. I can just start.
It does matter. So you need to read this document, right? Passed. So the first one is you must have passed these 3. The third is passed or gained exception from the other 6 papers at knowledge and skilled level.
Knowledge and skills, okay.
Yes. Only that. So the difference is only that what would be in your transcript is your result of your paper F7, F8, and F9, which is financial reporting, audit and assurance, and FM. Is it clear?
Oh, okay. It's clear, yes. I was actually thinking before that it was only 6. And I've already written this 3, and my average is not up to 6 days, but no problem. Thank you.
No, it doesn't matter. Only that you might not be able to have a first class. Yeah, but you can
Yes, I
try to have.
understand. It
Yeah.
matters to me.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
So are you saying because of this you won't write it again?
No, I was serious. But I prefer to get the first class.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So Harrison, you asked the question, is it PMFM? Okay, I think I've answered that question. You must have passed all the papers, right? But those 3, they form the basis for your transcript, right? And you also asked that, can you start working on your project if you are yet to pass FR and AA? You can start to work on it. However, your final results will not be out until these papers have been passed. So let me go to the next person. Emeka, please go ahead.
Okay, hi, Tutu. Good morning.
Hi. Good
Okay,
morning.
so I have 3 questions, so I'll just take them real slow.
Okay.
First one is there like an historical past rate that is published somewhere about how people have performed in this project? Say the way the ACCA releases results for performance across all the other papers. There's something like that for this project as well.
Okay, so there is an examiner's report that shows the level of students that have passed per submission. Remember that it's not directly an ACCA, it's just an affiliation that they have with the university. But yes, an examiner's report that shows the students' pass rates, how they did well and all is available. And is also so let me go back to my slide where I have additional information. You'd see it there. Okay, so this examiner's report shows and has let me drop it in the chat. It has the pass rate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Then second one, would it be possible to assess I know that ACCA Nigeria gives discount when we're paying for our exam fees for a lot of exchange rate issues. So is there can we access this discount for payment of this for £45 for submission?
Can you access discount?
Yeah, the discount that exchange rate discounts. Because I'm thinking that we might have to pay this money directly to Oxford Brooks. But then would it be possible to access the discounted exchange rate that ACCA Nigeria provides
Okay,
to pay these
okay.
fees?
Okay, you can do them an email to ask if you can leverage on this option for Oxford Brooks. But as it is right now, I know that that discount is for I know that the people that members have access to it, people that want to write their examinations have access to it. So remember that the timing for payment for examination is not the same thing as the timing for payment for the Oxford Brooks offering. But yes, never say never. You could send an email and then clarify whether, and then this email will then be to ACCA Nigeria. Remember that product from Sikron is and it's the baby child of ACCA Nigeria. So you could ask them if it's possible for you to leverage on this option as well for the payment of your
Okay, and finally, I'm trying to just really gauge the financial impact of going on with this project. I would expect that maybe there might be some cost of mentorship. I don't think we've really touched that during this presentation.
You're a very good person.
That would get to at some point.
Yes. It's something we would get to. Yes, there is a cost. In fact, yeah, and I can imagine that this appears to be, it may just appear to be a lot of funds that you need to work on. Yeah, there's a cost for our mentorship. Our mentorship at Ivyleague is, I would not say it in dollars because it's too small. Well, it's more like we're doing a philanthropy work, right? But our mentorship cost in Ivyleague is 70,000 naira. While the submission for your project is £445. But yes, our mentorship cost is 70,000 naira. Does that clarify?
Yes, it does. And there are no discounts offered to any categories of people. Are there any sort of discounts, or is this fee fixed across?
For now, no discounts. But yes, okay. I'll also leave school admin to determine whether there are further discounts for Ivyleague students. But yeah, that's the flat fee for now.
Okay, thank you very much, Tutu.
Thank you too. So you can imagine how magnanimous we are. You see that is not even up to $200, right? Very, very, it's just about $150. So yeah, thank you. John, over to you. Hello,
Hi,
John.
Tutu. Yeah, can
Yes.
you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Yeah, good morning. I hope you're doing fine.
Yes, I'm very well, thank you.
Great. Okay, so I have a couple of questions. I think the first one is regarding the materials. So is it possible that we get access to the recording and also the material that was used for the presentation?
Okay, so for everyone that will come on board with us, that's a big yes. And then I think that most times we always do what's it called? We share this with on our major social media platforms. So I believe that this will be on YouTube.
Okay, great. Then the the second thing is with respect to sign up and all of that, right? I was just wondering what that process is. So is it like we register an interest with the manager and yeah.
Okay, so yeah, thanks for mentioning that. For as many that are interested in becoming a part of us, once you have made your payment to the school, yeah, you register your interest with the school. As soon as manager gets your or any of the admin in the school gets your notification, they will send you a form to fill, and then you'll be onboarded.
Okay.
And this form is you don't have to fill a physical form. Maybe I should also say. The reason why we don't share the form here because it's significant is like the process that shows that you're interested in being a part of the school, and it's payment that authorizes that. So yes, as soon as you pay, you get onboarded. We send you the e-form, and then we can start with you.
Okay. Okay. So and lastly is around the dynamics of how this works. So is it that the meetings with the mentor are going to be physical, or can this be done virtually, especially with respect to the submission day? Because you mentioned the submission day thing earlier, as to students being together during the submission day. So I'm wondering if that has to if that can be done virtually as well.
Okay, all right. So yeah, we've embraced the virtual environment, right? And everything. This open day, we are all together, right? Are we not together? Albeit virtually. So this is what the together means. So this is the first process that kickstarts our school activity. So the school opens today officially with this OBU induction day, where we have taken time to explain to you what we do, how we do it, and what your project entails, right? Your experience with your mentor would also be virtually. We have mentors that are not even resident in Nigeria that you would be working with, and there will be no issues because yes, a lot of things that we will do are virtual. We can, and then if you decide to have a physical meeting, it's also fine. But then in the spirit of what is happening and the virtual world, yes, that is fine. So yeah, you can all your everything can be done virtually, and then if you still want a physical touch as well, happy.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Would that be all the questions you have?
Yeah, that is everything. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, John. Over to you, Ayodele, and please, Dimeji, be prepared to take the other rounds of questions.
I have a question. I have a question.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, please.
But this should be, hold on, before we get to you, the next person is actually Ayodele Latif, if you don't mind. So we are sequential. Yeah.
Oh, I thought I was the next question.
No, it's Ayodele Latif. Ayodele, go ahead.
Yeah, good morning. My question, I don't know whether I just feel I should ask now, before my first meeting with my mentor. Okay, the question is from the OBU pack. Okay, so as it relates to financial question, as in if you're picking topic 4, 5, sorry, please let me go to my PDF file and read it out so I can I won't miss it. So it's saying that you must use a financial statement that is available 90 days before the start of the submission period. So that's so I I was working on financial statements for 2020, and then we have 2021. But I've checked online; those audited financial statements for these companies are not yet available. So what should I do? Should I wait till those financial statements are available? Because 90 days before submission, if I count it, which means I still have to like end of February or something. So that's my question. So I don't know, should I wait? Should I still continue with the financials I have, or that's my question. Hope it's clear. Hello?
Yes, Claire. Yes, Claire. Very
Yeah,
clear.
okay.
Zimeji, please go ahead.
Okay, the
Okay, got
question
it,
is
Tricky.
from page 33 of the OBU
No,
pack.
it's fine. We know what you're talking about.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. Yeah.
Also, for those that are resubmitting, so it's not like resubmission for those that could not submit last year. I chatted with you during the week. So once you contact the school, should we just tell them resubmission or how, so that the fee will be different from the
Yeah.
other fee?
Yeah, so let
Okay.
me start with your second question, then I'll leave the floor for Dimeji. Yes, just refer to the school, tell them that it's you're a deferring student,
Okay,
and
different.
they will advise you. Yeah. Okay, Dimeji,
All right, thank you.
you're welcome.
Okay, good question there. So based on the timeline, 90 days before submission, the financial statement